So everybody knows kids, they don't want to worry about anything. I know I didn't whenever I was a kid. In fact, I only cared about a few select things whenever I was a kid, and none of those are going to be mentioned in this video. So it's easy for kids to become hyper-focused on a few select things when they're young, but those interests might have nothing to do with or look anything like their interests when they become an adult. I've always found it pretty interesting how good a child can be at something when that's all they focus on, and it kind of makes me wonder what my life might have been like had I focused on other things while I was younger. Now, I'm not somebody that advocates for having a bunch of regrets, and I certainly don't have many myself, but I do have some curious thoughts every now and then. Just some harmless thoughts like, if I had done this, I wonder what would have happened, or if I had done that, I wonder what would have happened, or if I had known about Bitcoin in 2009, would I be worth 9 figures by now? But then you can get really in depth and start making a game out of it to torture yourself, like, if I had made it to 9 figures with Bitcoin, would I have taken a 50% haircut on the drop back down to 30,000, or would I have been smart enough to sell any of it? But I digress, and let's get back to the kids topic. Now, while I did pretty well in school, school was one thing that I never seemed to really worry about. And in my opinion, you shouldn't really have to worry about school. You should be able to trust that they're going to teach you the things that are going to benefit you later in life and not really have to worry about it yourself. But for the purpose of this video, let's play devil's advocate just a little bit here and think about what would have happened if we got to choose the courses that we took and the things we learned while we were in school. What if we were able to go back and completely restructure our course load and choose the things and topics that we learned about every day? Me personally, I believe that the school system has some pretty obvious flaws. I don't think that it's really teaching us all the things that are going to help us whenever we become an adult and things that we need to know to start our careers or go to college. Now, I do believe that there are certain topics and subjects that, if taught in schools, would vastly change the landscape of our adulthood that we've come accustomed to. Obviously, some of the most prevalent topics that come to my mind are things in the personal finance space, like learning how money works, learning how to set up a bank account, balance a checkbook, things like that. So I'm going to cover some things in this video that I think should be taught in schools to help us on our personal finance journeys. I believe that if we had been taught these things whenever we were growing up, we would learn how to set ourselves up for a better financial future. I've always thought I could be a great teacher, so in today's video, we're going to find out just how full I am. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in again. My name's Taylor, and as you can probably tell from the title, this is going to be sort of my introduction to personal finance course that they should be teaching in school but are not. This is initially just going to be sort of a bare bones type of video where I cover a bunch of different topics on a pretty basic level, but I might go back and make it into a series where I cover each topic more in depth in the future. But for this video's purposes, I'm just going to cover kind of a basic order of operations for personal finance, things you should do as you're getting started out, sort of a PEMDAS of personal finance, if you will. So if you find value in this video and agree that these sort of things should be taught in the school system, please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe, because those 3 things really go a long way to helping grow the channel, and I really do appreciate it. With that said, let's get started. Now, one of the first things that I think should be done is you should learn how to set up and how to use a bank account efficiently. So as soon as you turn 18, open your own bank account if you have not got one already. You're going to want to open a checking and a savings account because they're going to be 2 different purposes. The checking account can be considered your functional account. This is where money is going to flow in and out of to go for a variety of different purposes. And you're going to want to set up a direct deposit for money flowing into your account from your job or whatever source of income you have. The savings account, on the other hand, is going to be a place where you can start socking away some money for some other steps that I'm going to mention here shortly. But you're just going to want to start deferring some money into that savings account from the checking account every month. I'm going to explain that in a little bit more detail here shortly. Obviously, a lot of us wouldn't think you would even need to mention this step, but you would be surprised. I've got a group client who is a construction client here in the area, and they've got an agreement with one of the local banks to not charge any account minimums or fees for employees that they are sending to them to open their very first checking account so that they can receive direct deposits from their new jobs. And even whenever I was younger, I didn't really like going to the bank, and whenever I would receive any money, I would cash the check or just take the money and I would put it in a safe that I kept in my house. And thinking back now, that was so stupid, because all somebody would have to do is come in there and steal the safe, and they've got my entire life savings. That's no longer the case, of course, so please don't come try to rob me. Okay, so after you've got your bank account set up, the step number 2 that I think should go next is to start building your credit. So this step is extremely important. I know this is going to get some pushback from some of you Dave Ramsey fans out there, but no matter how odd the system is or how arbitrary it is, you're going to need to build a good credit score if you ever want to be able to get approved for a business loan, a home loan, a car loan, or many different things like that. You should open a credit card as soon as you're able to, and now this can be a variety of different types of cards. The easiest one whenever you're young and just getting started out is called a secured card. The way that works is you basically give the company, say, $200, and they give you a credit line on a credit card with $200 worth of credit. It's kind of like a debit card, but it helps you build your credit score in the meantime. Now, I use a credit card for every purchase that I make, but it's not only just benefiting me by building my credit score. There are many perks that you can get from credit card companies that you're just not going to get with a debit card or a normal bank account. Many credit cards offer cash back for different purchases. They protect you from fraud, so if there's a fraudulent activity on your account, a lot of times they will help you fix that and not hold you liable for any of the expenses from that fraudulent activity. You can get travel rewards. The list goes on. Now, I know credit cards get a bad reputation from the debt is the devil type of crowd, but I'm just not in agreement with them. I think you should be using a credit card for every one of your purchases, because if you're going to be spending the money anyway, you need to be receiving some sort of cash back or rewards for each purchase that you make. Otherwise, you're just turning down free money. And as long as you use the credit card as if it's a debit card, meaning you're not spending money frivolously on the credit card with money that you don't have already saved and cannot already pay off, then you're going to be okay. You just need to make sure that you can pay the credit card off at the end of every month in full, meaning if you've got a $500 balance on that card at the end of the month, you don't make the minimum payments, you just don't even acknowledge that there's a minimum payment that you can make. You never carry a balance and you just pay it off in full every month. This credit score talk could be a whole video on its own, but let's move on with the rest of the video. The one thing you just need to know about credit scores is you need to have a good one, so start working on it now. So step number 3 is going to be always live below your means. You've got to make sure you're making money. And I don't just mean that meaning that you need to have some source of income. I mean that you need to be spending less money than you make every single month, if at all possible. Now, I know there's going to be some extenuating circumstances, some things that come up that you just don't ever plan for, things like medical bills. That's pretty much the biggest one that can come up.
Here goes your medical bill. Okay, let me see how we living out here.
You should always strive to spend less money than you're making, because otherwise you're just going to be working forever. One of the easiest ways that you can make sure that you're living below your means is to pay yourself first. Pay yourself first is something that you're going to hear on a lot of different financial education channels, and it just means that whenever you get a paycheck, you send 10% of it at minimum to a different account that you're not going to touch. You can set this up as an automatic transfer so that you don't even realize that the money's there or the money's not there. If you start this when you're young, then you're always going to be able to cover any sort of terrible thing that comes up. Some medical bills that come up, your tire blows out on your vehicle, you're always going to be able to cover that expense, because something like 2/3 of Americans could not cover a random $400 expense. They would have to go into debt for it. I don't want that to be you, so start paying yourself first. The good thing about starting this when you're young is it's very likely that while you're young, you've got the least amount of expenses that you're ever going to have in life. So if you get used to doing this now, it'll become easier and easier as you go through time, and you'll never have to worry about doing that later. Now, step number 4, and in truth, these first 4 steps should kind of all be done at the very beginning. You just need to start working on all of them all at once. That can be done, obviously. It's not something where you have to accomplish this before you do this. All 4 of these can be done all at once, okay? So step number 4 is you need to start building up an emergency fund. Obviously, this goes hand in hand with what I just mentioned, but you need to start building up an account that's going to be used for emergency purposes only. Sort of a break the glass if this comes up type of fund. You don't touch it unless you absolutely have to. That's going to really set you up to be comfortable taking more risks later, and it's going to give you sort of that safety net type of feeling so that you can feel better about your finances. The general recommendation for an amount in the emergency fund is 6 to 12 months of your estimated expenses. I know that might sound like a lot of money now, but once you've started deferring money mindlessly into a separate account for this purpose, you would be surprised how quickly it can build up. Now, I'd obviously like you to build up this emergency fund as quickly as possible, but I know that when you're young, really at all times, everybody's going to want to have some fun money or some spending money, things like movies and dates, those sort of things. As a minimum, you should be saving 10% of your income into an emergency fund every month until you've got 6 to 12 months of expenses built up for the bad situations that can come up. The rest of that money, in the meantime, you can use at your discretion, obviously. If you want to go out to a movie, if you want to go out to dinner, what's the point of saving money if you never get to enjoy it? You should enjoy your money, okay? Now, most people wouldn't tell you this, but this emergency fund is something that can change purpose or kind of fade away as you become more comfortable and more sophisticated in your finance journey. Eventually, this emergency fund becomes more of an opportunity fund, but that's kind of a topic for another day. It's basically just if an investment opportunity comes up and you've done your due diligence, you should use this money to invest in that because you've got other sources of income and other money to fall back on if need be. Okay, step number 5, we've done the emergency fund, we've started building our credit, we've got all the steps leading up to this. The next step is to start investing your excess cash. Now, this topic can mean a lot of different things, but the easiest way to build wealth over the long term with fairly low risk is to just invest money into the broad stock market with no time horizon and just keep doing it. Just keep putting money into the stock market without caring what the price is and just hold on to it for as long as possible. If you do that for 40 or 50 years, you're going to turn out great. Dollar cost averaging into something like the S&P 500 has proven to outperform active management around 99% of the time. Almost always, you're better off just putting a set amount of dollars into the market every month or every pay period without thinking about the price. So for this step, let's just say that you've already built up your emergency fund, you've got 12 months of expenses saved up, and what you were doing to get to that point was you were saving $250 a month. So now, instead of putting $250 a month into your emergency fund, you can start putting $250 a month into the S&P 500 or the broad market index. Whatever that number is, just choose a number you're comfortable with and just start investing it every couple weeks or every month so that you don't have to think about it. Just set it up on auto draft from your account into your brokerage account and just have it always invest that balance. There are a ton of different brokerages that will allow you to do this, but I've found the most success with Webull. I like the information that they have on there, and they've got the extended hours trading from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I'll leave a link down below to Webull so that you can download the app and fund the account. If you open a new account and fund it with at least $100, I think, they will give you 5 free stocks valued up to $3,000 a piece. So you might as well download the app and open your new brokerage account, start investing, and get some free money in the process. So the last topic that I want to talk about that is not being taught really anywhere, especially not in the school systems, is the importance of taking risks while you're young. Now, I don't mean you should take your life savings and dump it all into some new crypto scheme, some garbage new coin that nobody's ever heard of, because in that situation, 99 times out of 100, you're going to lose 100% of your investment. What I mean is you should be investing in yourself. Take the chances while you're young because you've got the least responsibilities that you're ever going to have. This could mean starting a business, taking classes or courses at your local community college that are going to further your education in your line of work. I've always said that the quickest way to get super wealthy super quickly is to start a business and just don't let it fail. And if you start that while you're young, you've got many different cracks at it, so the odds are in your favor. I really cannot overstate the benefits of investing in yourself while you're young. You know, I think the 8th wonder of the world is compounding your knowledge and compounding your skills while you're young, because it'll just make you that much more successful when you're older. So that's all I've got on the agenda today, guys. I try to keep it short and to the point. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Be sure to get your free stocks down below and like, comment, share, and subscribe so that we can grow the channel. I appreciate you guys and have a good one.